All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 2022 Rec and Parks Advisory Board meeting. Tonight, we're going to start out with something special. PAX 1787, led by Jason Tackett, is going to come up and do the Pledge of Allegiance for everybody. So 1787, come on up. Does everybody stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, fellas.
Good job, guys. All right, approval of minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review the minutes on the board, so I can get a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
All right, do I have a second?
A second.
All right, we're good to go. All right, new business. First on the agenda is Mr. Floyd Warren. We're going to talk about pickleball in St. Mary's County. Floyd, come on up. Mike's all yours.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us to present to y'all today. We really do appreciate it. Pickleball is a new sport, probably only about 7 or 8 years old here in the county, which we'll talk about a little bit. But doesn't get a lot of attention except from the players. Now, we get a lot of interest from the players, and we have some real fanatics that play the game. If you'll look around here in the room, y'all stand up if you're pickleball players in the room. We do have some good representation from the group, and we just got our brand new hats.
All right.
Awesome.
Christina, sit or stand?
You can sit wherever you want.
Okay. All right, what we're going to go over today is the history of St. Mary's pickleball.
The microphone.
Oh,
Good. You might want to sit.
all right, I'll sit then. Okay, what we're going to talk about a little bit today is the history of pickleball in St. Mary's County, what the participation level is, which is surprisingly higher than even we thought it was when we started counting them. Talk about the current recs and park facilities we have here in St. Mary's County only, and the requirements by each site that we currently play at, both near-term ops and maintenance types of requirements we have, and a 5-year plan of what we would like to see in our 5-year plan to go forward. We also give you some indication of some non-recs and park facilities that we do play pickleball here in the county. Some nice facilities we do have there. And then the new facilities that we need, and it really is remarkable because we share everything with tennis courts right now. We have nothing except the Garvey Senior Center that it has pickleball only. And it is a problem at times, it's good at other times. But anyway, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. Do all of you know what pickleball is?
Yes.
Couple that don't on the TV set. It's a game very similar to tennis. It's played on a court about 2/3 the size of a tennis court. And it was designed very specifically to be not as stressful and not as physically intrusive as tennis is. And for that reason, you have a very, very hard plastic ball and a paddle. And this is what we play with. You can pass this around. And it's a little bit slower game than tennis. A little slower than racquetball and those, are a lot faster than badminton. And it actually started as a children's game in the 70s. That's that newer sport. And it kind of evolved into more of a seniors game for the 50 years old and plus. And that is the seniors definition, by the way. And we're all just 50 years old. So. But like I said, it's mainly because of the less stress on the knees and the elbows and that stuff than tennis is. And the court itself is designed so there's a 7-foot or 6-foot area there between the net, and the rest of the court is called the kitchen. I don't know why. And I don't know why it's called pickleball. It's just kind of after the guy's dog. But you can't go in that area and you can't get up to the net and run like you do in tennis and then slam the ball right down somebody's throat. So it's supposed to be a kinder, gentler court sport than tennis has been. So and it's working out really well for a lot of folks. The other cool thing about it is it's expanded to all ages. We're actually giving some equipment to some schools and some teachers that are PE teachers to teach their kids in school pickleball. And a lot of people are learning it, and the Cub Scouts back there, I think you'd enjoy it too. But it's a great sport. Participation level in St. Mary's County, like I said, is remarkably higher than what we thought it was. To be candid, when we started getting the stuff together, we figured it was somewhere around 350 people that were playing in the county. We started collecting the names and the numbers and where things are, and one of the young ladies here in the audience actually went and resolved all the overlatches, all the duplicates and this type of stuff. And we're now coming close to almost 500 people. So 500 players plus or minus 50. I don't want to try to get anything hard and firm there because what we're looking at is on the Team Reach program, which is a software program we've just been using for 6 months. It's a program you use that you sign up that you're going to go play tomorrow at 8:30 at Chancellor's Run. And you know you've got 16 people coming, or you see you've only got 3, so you call somebody else. But of those people that sign up to play on Team Reach, we have 241 people signed up in Chancellor's Run alone. We have 135 at Garvey Center that are signed up with Garvey, with the Senior Center. There's some overlap those, but not a whole lot. And we have an old email distribution that has a 200, I put 242 because we did catch some duplicates there, but there's more than that because there's a lot of duplicates on the 242 there. In 7th District, we have no idea because they don't use Team Reach and they don't sign up on the software, but we're figuring there's somewhere between 40 and 50 players at 7th District. Is that right, Art?
Sounds good.
Okay. The total active players we got on all the lists, and granted, this is not the players, this is just some duplicates that we couldn't resolve, were 687 players. But if we say if we have 500 plus or minus 50, we've got somewhere close to the right number. We don't want to try to over-guesstimate and tell you some other briefs we've heard for some other sports that said they had 1,000 players and you never see anybody playing tennis.
Right.
Oops, I didn't say that. And we have another one group at players called at Willows Commercial Center. That is a commercial gym down in the Willows that has come of age last year. And they're running that with different fields inside. Sometimes we've got 5 pickleball courts there. Sometimes we only have 1. But people are playing there. It's the only inside place we have.
Oh, that's great. Look at that. That's a new one.
Okay, good. The facilities here in St. Mary's County. We've had to basically share everything with tennis up until this point. The Chancellor's Run courts, we've got 4 courts there, not lighted, but they're 4 good courts, and Chancellor's Run has been nice, and Tyrone has done a good job keeping that court up and keeping it swept, kept it pressure washed and that type of stuff. So that is probably the primary courts we play on. That's where we have the 241 players signed up. And also I mentioned those 241. Sometimes that's one name, that's Joe Smith. But Joe Smith and his wife Betty also come, but they only sign up for the one person. But at Baggett Park, the other R&P park, we have 4 courts, also shared with tennis. Baggett was just redone recently. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They did a nice job on the redo, and that's going to go well. Just one modification we'll talk about. 7th District, they've got 3 playable courts down there. Those were built 2 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere in there. They've had a problem with one of the courts being totally dead there, and I thought that others were fine, but I was told this week that even they are starting to buckle, and they're starting to have problems in 7th District. So some of the facilities we've got are marginal at best. One of the facilities not in Rexon Park is the Garvey Senior Center. That is the only dedicated pickleball courts we have. Those were built this year, just opened this year. And we've got 4 courts there, and their own fencing and that type of stuff. We're buying wind screens for them because wind is a problem with that little ball you saw using there. If you've got a 10-knot wind, that ball moves about 8 feet. So it can make it really hard. But the only problem with our Garvey Center ones is when they put them in, they retain water. They didn't level them, they didn't put a mound in the middle, and Brandy Tully, to her benefit, has held firm with that and said, hey, these are not right, and we're going to get these out. So those are going to be torn out in April and redone completely, and hopefully done the right way this time. Okay, the Willis Commercial Multiple Courts, I mentioned, we have between 1 and 5, 1 and 4 courts, depending on the day. Now, we have two big areas of requirements. One is ops and maintenance, so the things you need this year, the things you need to play continuously. From an ops and maintenance point of view, all the pickleball courts use mobile nets. Otherwise, we have these metal frames that the nets fit on. We roll them out in the middle of the net, we put the brakes on, we play our game, we roll them back against the fence to make them back available for tennis again if they want to use the courts. But that's what we have every place but Garvey. And unfortunately, they wear out in about 3 years. And we had some problems at Chancellor's when some of them got ridden on by local kids and that kind of stuff. And we put a lock on the door and that has stopped. So the stands need to be replaced about every 3 years. The nets deteriorate about every 2 years because they're out 24/7 out in the weather. The Baggett Court refurbishment I mentioned earlier was excellent. Unfortunately, they painted the lines the old color when we in tennis were fighting about trying to get courts anywhere, and that was a bloody battle in the beginning. So they had them paint them these real non-visible lines on the courts of the tennis courts, and we finally got that changed. David Guida did a great job, and the Chancellor Run courts are painted the right color, but we need to have the Baggett courts repainted the right color. And I have left that message with the maintenance group in Rexon Park. Okay, Chancellor's Run, again, I mentioned, is the most highly used of all. Second most highly used right now has gotten to be Garvey. It didn't be before, but it is now. We would still like to see the Chancellor's Run refurb when that happens in the 5-year plan to make sure we know 2-3 years out when it's going to happen. And we would like to venture out the possibility, since it is so heavily used, would there be any way we could convert that to a pickleball-only court? And all the courts need periodic maintenance. I mean, you get leaves on them, they get water spots. We need squeegees and brooms and stuff at the court so we can get it off. We had on New Year's Eve, we had 30-some people at Garvey, and we had an equal number at Chancellor's Run playing. All of them brought brooms and towels because both places were basically flooded. And they got them quasi-dry, and they played. I mean, honest to God, we got some fanatics in this group. We really do.
Yeah.
I was down in Florida last winter, and I kept getting back from the group over here how much they were playing. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me, 17 degrees. They played 12 months of the year. Didn't matter.
Good on them.
Okay, as far as the current and future needs from Rexon Park, Chancellor Run, we really, really need windscreens. That ball moves around a lot. It's not that expensive. Right? When I did the research for Garvey to buy them windscreens, now the tennis court situation at Chancellor's is a little bigger, probably maybe a half times bigger again than the Garvey courts are, but I can get the Garvey screens for less than $3,000 installed. So they're not expensive, it's not a big thing, but it makes a huge difference in the way you play this game. It really does. Many days you'll get up in the morning and see your flag blowing, you say, we're not going today, because it's just too windy, you can't do it. The other thing at Chancellor's Run we need done is the backboard needs replacement. It's rotten, and to no fault of anyone. It just happens to be the water goes that way and settles, and it's the bottom of it is rotten out. We could also use some external benches. They bought us some nice ones at Garvey, some really pretty ones. They're outside the fence rather than inside the fence, so that way they don't get in the way. They would be really nice. And our ladies unanimously asked for porta potties or some toilet facilities. I told them I'd say it. I knew we wouldn't do it. And the future refurb we talked about. Baggett Park, we already mentioned. We need to repaint the lines. The other thing we need is for windscreens. The other thing I forgot to mention in Chancellor, we really need lights. We had talked about lights for several years, and basically we said, hey, the neighbors won't like the lights if you put them up on the tennis court. Well, go out to Chancellor's Run any night that they're playing ball out there. Yeah. The thing is lit up like the sunshine. Lights on the tennis court and the pickleball courts aren't going to bother anybody. So we would really like to get courts at Chancellor's specifically. And at Baggett if we could get them, but that really is our priority at Baggett.
What's your last one?
7th District, we really already talked about the dead courts. They also would like windscreens, and that would help their play as well. Okay, the new facilities for the brand new and not refurbing or rebuilding or refurbishing is most critical need we have in this county is an indoor facility. We go north to Annapolis, we go north to Charles, we go north to some of these other places, and they've got these beautiful indoor multi-purpose gyms that everybody plays, basketball, volleyball, pickleball, you name it, it's in there. And they're gorgeous facilities, and we got nothing. We have nowhere we can go inside, out of the weather, and play pickleball except for the commercial facility down at Willis now. And that's give and take depending on what they have going on. So we really, really need, if nothing else, we need a multi-purpose facility. We were hoping it was going to happen earlier this year with a Y, but I'm fearing that's not sounding real good right now. And even a new or refurbished facility. I mean, we got some buildings out here on 5 that, should be torn down 20 years ago. Is there anything we can do in this county of something that's been vacated or bankrupt because of COVID or whatever, that we could refurbish the inside, turning into an indoor gym facility, not just for pickleball, but for this whole county? This county needs a facility in a bad way. It really does. And we had played a little while for the very beginning of pickleball in Leonard Hall, but that floor is so bad you can't use it. It really, you can barely dribble a basketball on it, much less hit a pickleball. But we really need also need some new dedicated pickleball courts. We're getting too many people playing in too few spaces. Like I mentioned on New Year's Eve, third getting 2 different locations. And, you only play 16 at a time if you got 4 courts. So a lot of people sitting around waiting, shouldn't be. And we would also ask dearly to revive the new Chancellor's Run pickleball complex that was canceled back in 2020. We worked 3 years getting that thing through the bureaucracy of the county to get it approved and get it done. And it came up to the end and it got canceled. That was a huge disappointment. That would solve a lot of problems in a hurry and get 6 pickleball courts up there, which is the way it was designed, right beside the tennis courts up just the other side of the big oak tree. And it was a huge amount of money put in there for stormwater problems. Matter of fact, 1/3 of the bid was for the stormwater prevention problems, which seemed ridiculous because the tennis court's already there. But anyway, and the last thing is to choose some new courts to convert to pickleball use. Cecil, some people mentioned possibly painting those courts with pickleball courts on top of the tennis courts that are there. Dorsey has been talked about for years. We'd obviously love to have pickleball lines at Dorsey. That would be fantastic. And anywhere else that we think we can get them. Sport is just expanding even bigger than we thought. And it's growing so fast, and we're getting so many people that aren't 50 and over anymore. We're getting a lot of the young professionals that are out here playing. And as a matter of fact, some of those are getting good enough, and because they're faster and younger than we are, or some of us, some of them. But they almost have to have a separate area to play sometimes because they've almost got an advanced court. So in summary, again, we appreciate you inviting us here, and we really do. The Southern Maryland Pickleball Organization is active, it's well-formed, it's not a 501c. We do not do that because A, nobody wanted to pay dues, and B, nobody wanted to be an officer but me. But we do need Rexon Park to focus more on pickleball facilities, pickleball programs, pickleball events, instructional pickleball. That we will gladly staff some of that kind of stuff. We can get tournaments and make some money on. There are things we can do now that pickleball is growing so much that we can help bring money to the pie as well. Again, we mentioned increased maintenance and equipment renewals as a part of it. New facilities are needed. We talked about it at length. And the new indoor facility, again, just has to be a priority in our lifetime. I just don't want my grandkids to be my age being here asking you for the same thing. And just as a quickie, these people behind you play 12 months a year, 7 days a week. And you can ask Tyrone every time he goes by that court over on Chancellor's Run in the morning, there are pickleball players down there. And they play in the snow. They don't play in the rain and the wind, but they do play in the snow. And of that entire time that they all played, all through 2 years of COVID, not a single pickleball player that we know of has gotten COVID. Now, I don't think pickleball is a reason for that, but we play together, we play hard, and we still haven't caught it. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening, and we hope to see you all out there.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions I'd like to ask.
Yeah, I have
quick,
questions
please.
also.
You mentioned replacement of dead court surfaces. How long does the surface last?
Probably about the same thing as a regular tennis court does, but I'm not sure what that is, Art, do you?
Based on usage, I guess?
No.
Please use the microphone.
You're welcome.
Come have a seat with us. He's probably going to answer my questions, too.
The replacement at Baggett, 7th District, basketball courts, we're trying to get them, our playgrounds are 20-year replacement. Those courts are going to probably be at least a 10-year replacement. We have now with the new, that 1.5, we're going to do the courts and put pickleball lines at Cardinal Gibbons. And so South County has a set of courts there. But so, when you're talking about refurbishing, which we did at basketball courts, Nicolette, and this all speaks to that court process within a 10-year replacement.
Another question I had is you mentioned total availability. Aren't the parks facilities open when you're there?
The problem is mainly Sunday. Most of the facilities are closed on Sunday. Are you asking Art? I'm sorry.
No. I'm asking you, but if you'd move closer to the mic, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your question again?
You have noted the TOLA facilities. They're not open for usage when you're there normally, or what?
They're basically talking about restroom facilities. And, the men are somewhat less, need it less, but the women definitely do. Whether it be porta potties or having open the restrooms on the weekend, even though they don't have active games there or something, that would sure make a big difference.
So you don't have to make reservations for the courts.
Right.
They're always open. It's just a word about the restrooms.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. The courts are always open. We do have locks on the courts to prevent damage and to prevent, the kids coming in, tearing up some of the equipment and that kind of stuff. And that's worked out real well. But then when we come on the weekend or something and we don't have soccer going on or something else, there's nothing open, and particularly the ladies have a real issue.
You also mentioned maintenance time. Debris, leaves, whatever the case would be. Is that an ongoing daily thing, or just a? How often does that have to take place?
It happens periodically, just like in the fall. We get a lot of leaves blown up on there. And what we have been doing is bringing our own blowers or bringing our own brooms and cleaning the place up. And we don't mind doing that. But if it could become a standard part of the maintenance of our facility, just like it's a standard part of the maintenance of soccer fields and the basketball fields and those types of things, it would sure be nice. Water dispersal is another big one.
That was all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Anybody else?
John?
Yeah, I do. I'm curious, the indoor courts at Garvey, are they in partnership with us, or is it just the facility itself owns those?
No, that facility is paid for by the Department of Aging and specifically the Garvey operation
In
of
other words,
that.
you would have to be like a member, or are those?
No, you just have to be 50 years old.
Okay.
And then you register at the desk with a 2-page form, and as long as you sign in to play, that's all we ask.
Okay.
Doesn't cost a dime.
I'll speak to Garvey a little bit. Is that all right?
Oh, fine, absolutely. So, as far as, you mentioned that, you didn't want a board, you didn't want dues, which I understand. As we become seasoned, we don't want to do all that, I understand. But I'm curious about the application, the reservation system. Is that free? Is that an online service?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
free software program.
Okay.
Called
all right.
Team Reach.
Team
And it
Reach,
can
that's
work
what
for any sport. It doesn't have to be just pickleball. We just adapted to our sport, and it worked out fantastically.
So there is a Southern Maryland Pickleball Association.
That's
Yes, sir.
And you're the point of contact for that?
I'm the representative.
For the board?
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask that. So I'm wondering if is this a national, is there like a national accreditation?
There is a national organization. It's called USA Pickleball Association, and actually I am both an ambassador and the district ambassador for Southern Maryland. So I cover everything in what they call Maryland South District, which is Charles, Calvert, and here. Now, to be honest with you, and it's my own fault, I haven't done much up there because they've got better facilities already, and I live here. So we're really talking St. Mary's County right now.
Understood. And the reason why I asked that is because I like the idea of events, tournaments and things,
Yeah.
and I was just wondering if there was a requirement for that in order to,
If we wanted a sanction event,
Right.
excuse me, if we wanted a sanction event, it would have to go, we'd get the USAPA down, we'd have referees, they'd have honest judges, different kind of computing systems for scoring and that type of thing. But for having just fun sports ones, 3 years ago, right before COVID hit, we had what we call the Ambassadors Tournament. We took 12 people from down here to just support it and help run the thing, and we took about another 10 that were players in it. It was a great tournament, but it wasn't ordained by USAPA. It was just a local fun tournament, and everybody got a fun, and everybody got a T-shirt, and that was all it was. But if you go big time, then you get
Yeah.
the pros in here, you get the level 4s and 5s, which are really, really, really good players. They'll come rolling in here for a tournament, particularly if it's sanctioned.
okay, well, I mean, with
Yeah.
400 people and just kind of, that's enough for a tournament.
It is. Oh, yeah, we would have one here, I guarantee you.
Yeah,
We'd get a group there.
something to think about.
Right.
Arthur, you want to talk about Garvey? Oh,
I got one question. You said you need an indoor, you'd like the indoor facility with a couple courts and all that. Were you involved in anything with the YMCA? Were they
I
going to
was
put
not
any of
involved
those in there for you?
at all. I was involved in Garvey when we had the multi-purpose gym that was part of the program.
Right.
And for financial reasons, that was deleted. But I don't know, you probably know a lot more about the why than I do, Art. I don't have a clue what's really been going on.
No, not regarding pickleball.
Yeah.
I don't know what that hadn't been the concept plan wasn't drawn out yet of what was going to be in the facility.
Okay, there's nothing in there, okay.
But I think the gymnasium part of it was going to be dual use.
Oh, yes, yeah. A lot of uses, a lot of multi-purpose uses, sure.
Okay.
You would hope so in a nice facility of
Just
that
wondering if you
size.
were part of if your
No, I wish.
teams were part of the conversation.
No.
Okay.
I definitely think it's worth, I mean, with just the amount of people, and apparently it seems the rate is increasing, I think it's definitely worth, if not, just to, as we always do, create an ad hoc committee and seek, if it's possible to form some type of partnership with the organization and the department and move from there, because 400 people is a lot of people.
Yeah, it really is. It's really active people,
So
too.
it's,
So your 300% growth that you've had, the 300% plus growth that you've had, is that in the most recent 2 years during COVID that you saw the most growth, or just gradually?
COVID didn't seem to slow it down because we were outside and we were one of the few sports that were allowed to continue to play. And so everybody kind of flocked to it. So I think we actually grew because of COVID, to be honest. And it's been a great sport because not only seniors are staying better fit, but so are a lot of other people. And it's worked out really, really well.
What do you think about the percentage of 50 plus in our county compared to how many are active from pickleball?
Yeah.
That's a great data to look at. I think if we give you more facilities, you'll grow even more,
Yeah.
from what it seems.
Thank you.
yeah, definitely with some of the spaces we have in our existing parks that, I'd like to know the dimensions, I'm very curious in technical parts, like the rolling nets, like the equipment. If there's like a list or like a running operational budget of what it would be to sustain this type of sport, I'd be interested in learning
Yeah,
that.
I'll get you a whole system of the court layouts and everything. The net itself is 2 inches shorter than tennis.
Right,
Which is
okay.
why we can't use just a tennis court. Of
course.
Because it makes a big difference with that little ball, because you're supposed to hit it
Yeah.
only about 2 inches over the net. Yeah.
And I don't know about y'all, but I'm a hat person, so I would love a hat. How do I get a hat?
Well, we pay $12.50, but for you guys,
50, I would like a hat.
Floyd, did you ever, or your organization, is there any organizational chart that might be able to be established to better communicate, not just with the board, but with the director, in the near future? I mean, a lot of people.
yeah, there are.
It may be prudent for, some type of a board to be created in the county to better communicate with the director as well as
Yeah, I think it would
Rex and
help.
Parks Board.
Absolutely.
I think it might be.
If not,
I realize all these white hats want to raise their hand is to give you a hand with those types of things.
Especially with you going to Florida half a year, it's nice to have,
Just 3 months.
3 months. So it's nice to have somebody up here that, something comes up.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we met about 3 weeks ago, had about 18 or 20 of us that had a meeting of the Southern Maryland organization, and I actually ventured that out, if they would like to be officers, and could I wander away, and they told me no.
Well, maybe you can take a half a dozen people with you to Florida next month and
Maybe not
try to
something
get a
so
board set up.
a board, because, they've obviously, they're not interested in that type of that type of
Yeah.
administration, but
Yeah,
at least
we'd be
just
glad
someone
to.
else.
It helps.
So we'll talk about it again, we will. We will.
Do any of the courts have lights at this time?
I'm sorry?
Do any of the courts have lights?
None.
None? Okay.
That's why we really need them at Chancellor's more than anywhere else. If we got them nowhere else, Chancellor's. We're going to get them in Garvey, but Garvey's going to be down several months.
If you were to look at lights, where would you suggest they start looking at?
As far as
at
buying
lights?
them,
What particular facilities?
to put them, to install them, Chancellor's Run, for sure.
I mean, is that
Now, we've got a grant for some money at Garvey, and we're hoping to get those put in next year, after they rebuild the unit again, because we've already got the piping for the wiring already put in the initial construction. I have no idea where the cost goes, or whether we should use, solar-powered lights or what, I don't know.
Those types of requests could, come through a board, to the committee as well as to the director as to where the priorities would be with a 5-year plan that we're working on now, so.
Right. Yeah, if we could get them at Chancellor's, I think we would be thrilled.
Thank you.
You want to talk about Garvey? You want to
Well, there's some Garvey discussion, so let me bring you up to date on that as well. The Garvey courts, those are new courts, but there was funding in there through the program Open Space Funds through the Department of Recreation and Parks. I'd say it's been 2 weeks that I've talked to the Director of Office on Aging, Lori Jennings Harris, and her strong desire to light those courts at Garvey. So that's a discussion that we had and considered them more as a park use instead of a Garvey Center use, and because of their being adjacent right there at the facility, and that takes care of some restroom needs too. So that's a discussion we just had, and so that could be 23 or 24. And then to answer your question about money in the now, because when I say Garvey and Recreation Parks, I didn't, because they're two. These are commissioner investments. That's how they look at it. They're going to look at it what's there. So with the Garvey, with Baggett, 7th District, the nets and the different things. In the last 4 years, there's been $400,000 to improvements to pickleball courts, tennis courts, and that's the number there when you asked about a budgeted number.
But most of that was at 7th District.
No. No.
Are there any fees associated with the, I guess it's not a formal
Equipment.
sport, but, I'm saying fees that the pickleball community pays to
like
Recreation and
you-
Parks?
No.
And that's what I was saying, maybe a relationship, some sort. We could handshake of some sort, provide support, back and forth, I don't know, but.
No, if you think of pickleball, think a little bit about basketball. Basketball is an open use sport. Tennis is an open use sport. And then we are, I feel as a steward of all the parks to make sure that those facilities are in good shape. And that's just the investment that's been placed in over the last period of time. And again, we're getting ready to invest more down at Cardinal Gibbons Park. That money's allocated. And then working with Lori, Ms. Jennings Harris regarding potential lights at the Garvey. That's where we are.
I think the use of a board through that mechanism could somehow absorb this sport into some type of program. That way, there could be a relationship between the organization and a relationship between the department. That way, somehow or another, there could be some type of share in shared services with facilities, operational equipment, those kinds of things. But that's definitely forward thinking.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, everybody from the association. Floyd, thank you very much.
Could I ask if any of our people would like to say anything?
All right, would anybody like to say anything?
Do you all really play all year long?
Hardcore. All right, good on you.
And all of you been playing since the 70s? Oh, excuse me.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, someone, go ahead.
I just started at the very end of October. It's great for my health, because I just had heart surgery, and I,
Just to be outside, yep.
excellent for me, and I've also brought 6 friends into the program.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is great. I've lost 25 pounds playing.
Woo!
Wow.
Woo!
I think I got him.
Yeah.
And if any of you board members want to learn how to play pickleball, we can get you an instructor.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I'm definitely interested.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Knees are not the way they used to be, so yeah.
I ain't running.
To be honest, it's easy to start. I mean, you can play competently fairly early the first couple months. It takes a lot longer to play really, really well. But you can get out there and play with any of us.
Oh, yeah?
Fairly
Just have some fun. It's really about having fun, right?
Well, you can tell it's growing. It's on ESPN. They show the pickleball championships, and yeah, and they're all young people playing, so it's not just
Oh, yeah.
not just those oldies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
All right, thank
It's
you.
very, very, very
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is sports participate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't forget your stuff.
Absolutely. I was going to say, right.
She might take a hat, but I don't know about.
All right, next on the agenda is sports participation data.
Thank you.
This, now you asked here about that, and so what I did is I prepared a sheet that you had in board docs and given to you, and I think this won't take but minutes, if that. As you can see on here, the sports participation throughout the leagues, what that means, how many are participating. We did add some contact names to that, but otherwise, that gives you a good idea how many athletes are participating during the different seasons, the kind of revenue that's producing through the participation fee, and the size of the different leagues that we're working with and dealing with.
Wow, look at this.
And while we're doing that, I'll be scheduling on February 7th and 21st, our winter league leader meetings. This meets where the staff, we meet with the multi-sport leagues one night. And multi-sport leagues are the leagues that play on non-baseball softball diamonds. Okay. That's what that means. So loop them. And then what we're going to unveil then, this is just a little sugar on top, is that we're very close now to having an online reservation system. The calendar, to be able to look at that, be able to get your receipt back that says we've received your request online, and then a permit then would be forthcoming once all the details are worked out. Like School Dude, I made a submission today. It takes a minute, it's routed, and then it comes back whatever time it takes, in a reasonable amount of time to get that done. So we're delighted with that, and matter of fact, we're going to ask a couple of the leagues to be a part of that before we roll it out to Kyle Keeball. He's going to send out the link so that they can test it, see if it meets the needs, the expectations, so that here within February we're ready for all the leagues to utilize that and access that as far as a field reservation process. And you have the statistics and data there. That's for you to review, look at, and we can discuss it more in February if you like.
Okay.
So will that replace the web track, I think is what it's called right now, where we?
Okay, so in the RecTrack system, that's a software system we have, it's going to be a congruent two different systems working together. Kyle's worked with our IT department so that you can get the calendar in a more quick access, but in the end, all that data needs to be loaded in RecTrack, so that calendar is updated and then produces the master calendar.
Got it. Okay.
Yep, the RecTrack software is included, but we've made some upgrades, so we're delighted that's coming aboard. It's about time.
Cool.
Okay?
Well, this sheet tells us what was collected, but not where it was spent. Is that correct?
Correct, but I can tell you where it was spent.
Okay.
It was spent on the hourly staff that works in the parks.
Okay.
Operational? This goes back into operation?
Yeah, the Recreation Enterprise Fund. It's in the Recreation Enterprise Fund. It's collected in there, then the expenses for the hourly staff that are in the parks is, this fund is utilized to pay that expense of the hourly staff.
So are the basketball numbers not recorded yet? Is that why they're not?
No, these are sports participation fees for the outdoor youth sports leagues, the volunteer
Okay,
youth sports
perfect.
leagues, not the recreation park sponsored leagues.
Perfect.
Okay.
Wow, nice.
Board, any questions?
No.
Good, 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 good. All right, thank you, Arthur. And I have an alcohol permit here for the St. Clements Island Museum for their Friends of SCIM and PPIM. Do I have a motion to approve their park use permit and alcohol permit?
I make a motion to approve the permit as written.
All right, do I have a second? All right. And that's it for new business, old business, project updates.
Did you get a vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good, we're good. All in favor?
Aye.
And just for everybody's, just for the record, that's consumption only.
Right.
That is not
selling.
sales, that's that's a consumption only.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris, are you going to handle that?
When we take election manner?
Oh, take it, and I'll just, I'll jump in with the.
They'll flower it up.
I'll jump in with the Cherry Blossom Festival, I think. Yep.
So we have all the millings, the pathways complete. All the bollards have been installed. You can see that picture on the bottom left is the bollards at nighttime. It's a great picture. It shows how well it shows up when you're driving up there. All the new signs and the entrance are installed and opened. The restroom construction is completed and opened. So that's the newest picture there on the right. Going down, still working on the accessibility project with the disc golf. They also will have the benches that have been picked, and deposits have been made for 6, I believe, 8-foot benches purchased through the Lexington Park Lions that'll go through the disc golf course.
The Lions Club, all in all, with the baskets for the visually impaired, they're putting in 18 of those 13 baskets. There's 36 total. The 6 benches, and then they're also partnering with the St. Mary's Arts Council, who's one of our large partners there. The Lexington Park Lions has allocated and invested $17,000 in the park.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. We have submitted plans for development review to add a 30 by 30 pavilion with picnic tables under it. It'll be right next to the newest restroom facility, as well as 4 wellness stations. And that picture on the right is an actual snapshot of what one of the wellness stations will look like. So each station will have a play component, an exercise piece of equipment, and a bench, and it's all on the ADA rubberized surfacing that would connect to the pathways, to the roadways with a bridge built by Rexham Park staff. So that's just one of the examples. Obviously, it's different at each one of the 4 stations. So hopefully those will be in by spring. The pavilion will probably be a little bit longer. The lead time to have that coming is it takes at least 90 days even to get it ordered, so it's a little bit longer after that.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I did not know that there was a disc group.
Mm-hmm.
And I started following them on Facebook, and it's like humongous. So have we engaged them for, we obviously have this space down at Lexington Manor Passive Park. Have we engaged them just to see if it's okay for them, or, just because they use it big time, the passive parks. I'm just
All right, let's go back to the top then. 2018, when the plan was there for the improvement, Jerry Honus and John Zidell, I got them to be on the master plan team.
Okay.
So they were stakeholders on that, in touch with them all the time. That got them partnered with the Lions Club and working with all that there. They're now putting up all the new tee markers. They're investing in that. I've been out there 2 evenings with them. They want to play nighttime disc golf to see how that worked out. It was dark. Then the new entrants coming up off East Rennell certainly works for them, but they couldn't be more delighted with that, the improvements on getting that there. Because if you think, just like you see that your youth sports leagues are here, you see pickleball there, there's another sport called disc golf. That right now, I would say it's hard to go there without seeing, even, and we're talking about winter, right now, playing disc golf in that sport. So there was an investment on our part in the whole. The park is going to come in right about 1.8 mil. And put about a $90,000 investment in the disc golf course to make sure that's for all ages. That's families. That's all ages, and so yeah, they're a part of it in a big way. To answer your question,
I mean, are we able to collect any of those metrics? Because that's a win. That's a win.
Oh yeah, it's
I mean,
it's
is
big
there
time.
any way that
Be specific. What are you talking about there?
I mean, is there a way that other than have them come in so we can at least provide some type? Thank you. Pardon me.
Well, they don't have
any kind of way that
I don't think they have an association. I don't think they.
Yeah. Southern Maryland Disc Golf Course,
Do have
Disc Golf Association.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the association. So yeah,
And we've named.
have some of those metrics because that's a win.
And you can see all that. Then we've named the course, Lexington Manor Passive Park. It's called the Manor Disc Golf Course.
Right. So
Very nice, very attractive. You'll want to get back there.
I'd like to invite them to come and speak
If you're
to
with them on
us.
Facebook, hit them up.
Exactly.
Ms. Norton, could you move a little closer to your mic,
Oh.
please? Thank you very much.
Sorry. I'd like to get them to come in because, as I said, that is a win for the department. So, I mean, this was a big project, Lexington Manor Passive Park, and we'd like the rest of the county to at least see that it's beneficial.
And then lastly, Chris, we didn't mention that Aggregate, the asphalt paving company, was in on the 28th of December and overlaid there in Lancaster from Willows Road up to the park and inside, connecting the two. So that was about a $23,000 asphalt overlay that's really helping with the major amount of new walkers and joggers in that park area. Go ahead, Chris.
Moving on, still working with the community gardens. We have pretty much got our site plan done, working on construction and operational budgets and garden rules. Still looking for that overall host organization that would be viewed upon just like our disc golf group. It would be an outside group that's managing and running the operations.
So we are still looking for that?
Yes.
Have we thought about the master gardeners?
The master gardeners are involved. The Sierra Club is involved. There's probably a good 10 to 12 different players that are on the planning team.
Okay.
We meet once a month. Tomorrow, hopefully, we might have a meeting tomorrow, but we do meet the first Friday of the month. And are
What
still
time?
working through it. 9:30.
In the morning? There is a 2-hour delay to school, so that might,
Already 2-hour delay?
yep, 2-hour delay tomorrow so far with.
Oh, thanks.
So you might have to delay that meeting, but I'm interested. Thank you.
Arthur, you want to speak to the repaving here?
So let me say that day again. Cherry Blossom Festival, we finalized the date, is March 26th. Where'd that come from? Well, there's the cherry trees up and down Coral Place and throughout. And the Community Development Corps, they did that for 2 years, but then when the project got underway and then COVID came, that dropped, and now we're back. We want to do it, the department sponsoring it with our different partners, again, Sierra Club, St. Mary's Arts Council, Disc Golf, Unified Committee, Afro contributions, Three Notch Theater, Boy Scouts, on and on. So what that is that's just going to be really our groundbreaking, our opening, inviting people in. The road from Linda's Cafe, Tulagi Place to Lay Drive, then turning back onto Route 235 is getting ready to be improved and sidewalks there. And we hope to have that. That's the plan, to have that done by them. Department of Public Works and Transportation is managing that project. And then we still have street lights to go go too. So what's the Cherry Blossom Festival? So with coming out there today, I was with the Sailing Association, the nonprofit that was in the office to see me about the sailing group that meets down there at Chancellor's Port in St. Mary City. They're going to come and be a part of it. Our partners are, the skate park is actually going to be there doing demonstrations that day. Waikamaco Golf Course will be doing that for the children. The disc golf is going to be there. We're going to have entertainment on the stage there. We're going to all the different things, a family activity for bicycling, jogging, the Boy Scouts, and everybody just showing our wares and making this park available and highlighting that there.
And the connector, where does it drop and pick up? Is that still our, just for accessibility of transportation for people who don't have a car? I was just
So where did you ask me? Is there STS transportation and drop and pick up right there at Tulagi Place?
still there, right?
Right there.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions about Lexington Manor? Okay, Three Notch Trail. Some new updates since what's been put on here. We are still working on getting together the spec book and the cost estimates that would go out for the invitation for bid, which has to be approved through the state. So we're still working on getting all that documentation together. We ended up going back through the Environmental Protection Agency group with SHA to re-delineate it as it's all good. There was, there's some mussels, freshwater mussels that were possibly affected by the construction of the trail. We did get the letter saying that as the first time, it is still not an issue, but you have to recertify after so long, and it's been 2 years since that letter had been established. So that's been done. Access permits were all submitted today, so it's moving along nicely. Hopefully by spring we'll have approval from SHA to move forward with invitation to bid. So that one's definitely moving along. Again, got some good traction going. Snow Hill. Master plan is still being constructed. We did add some more environmental factors into the plan to talk about carbon footprints and some additional ways to protect that property and its environmental concerns in the future. So we should have a finalized master plan within a month or so. That's coming right along to be finished.
And does somebody represent the Navy base for those plans?
The master plan itself, the Navy for Snow Hill, I mean, we go through, they would be involved in a construction phase. They were involved in the planning with Shannon Farm.
'Cause I know
But
they
any of the
invested.
design, construction, your concepts would be gone through the Navy,
I don't think it reaches up that far,
but not
does
at
it?
this stage.
But generally with the Navy's roles in both Shannon Farms and Snow Hills, there's REPI money that was used there, so there's easements on that property, and how you use that property being as Navy money was involved.
That's how their piece in
Yes,
the
that's right.
carbon.
We monitor and send reports each year to them for both of those properties to show what's happened on there. We send the pictures.
That's good.
Keeping them accountable.
Right. So the boat kayak launch parking has been submitted to Land Youth and Growth Management for development review. The fees were just paid last week for that, so that's under review. And again, the master plan. Cannon Farm, still working on our master plan. Having some issues with the wetland delineation and what's there, what's unflagged wetland, reports that are in our easement that we were just talking about with the Navy are a little bit different than what the Maryland Department of the Environment has given us. So we're trying to establish some new conversations with the Navy to reestablish what those wetlands areas are so we can decide exactly where that boardwalk's going. So the master plan is on hold right now until those concerns have been alleviated with the Navy.
Is there a timeline for that? Is there a
A
date?
timeline for,
You said those concerns are remediated. Is there a timeline for those concerns to be addressed or visited or discussed? Is there, I'm just curious.
Well, the realtor that works with those easements, we were correspondence this week, and they're on it as soon as possible.
I believe that they said the person that was in charge of the environmental,
Just retired?
literally
Oh, wow.
just retired, so we're waiting.
So
for
they're
that
going to
news.
they're going to appoint somebody and get somebody in so we can get moving forward.
Delay, but
But the
understood.
sooner the better.
Interesting.
And then you have your general list that we keep going. This, if you've seen before, some new things, some not. The last one, number 11 on upcoming, was not listed on the sheet the last time you saw it, and that was the winterization and renovation of the bathroom B at Lancaster Park. I added that on there since the last time you've seen this list, but nothing else should be shockingly new to you here.
So let's go back to that. As far as parks go, that one would be our 8th in the last couple of years with winterized bathrooms, and now all of our parks, even because Cardinal Gibbons renovated and
Last year, wasn't it?
and open. So all the parks have them. And then the issue that was spoken today about Chancellor is trying to work through that because we do have restrooms there that, there and putting portables back and contracts and fencing. And that's just a challenge. But there is open space. Sunday does cause some bit of challenge, so I'm working on that.
I have a question. Where is Carver, the Carver Rec Center, where is that in its improvement plan? I know it's had a lot of updates. So I'm just curious as to where it is now.
Okay, Carver has, the new backboards and rims, the new stage curtain, the new electronic bleachers, brand new bleachers. The originals are gone, new electronic bleachers. All the restrooms are ADA accessible, the room flooring and all those. And then if you look if you look at the front where the main entrance used to be of the school when it was a school,
Yep.
that's not ours yet.
Right.
Because the sheriff was in there. So they still have their right side. Now let's go to the left side where the elections were. That's now there, and we do have money coming in through the American Rescue. The CARES grant funding for $175,000 to renovate that for use.
Okay.
Over there, and that front space, that front door could be entered now, so you don't have to walk through the gym when that's being
Right.
occupied to get to the classrooms and the before and after centers and the different things that go on there.
So I guess in the coming months, we'll be seeing a plan or what's going to happen, what the department has in store for that money that's coming in,
Well, I can tell you now.
areas?
Yeah, well, we're just taking care of the classroom because they're
Right.
down. The bathrooms need to be renovated, which was on the Science Hall back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Those the male and female restroom need to be renovated. Then there will be flooring throughout, painting throughout, flooring, restrooms renovated.
Windows. Not replaced.
Some of that.
Painting.
And the whole is going to be painted so that it can be usable for any group, whether we lease it out to somebody, a memorandum of understanding, or that we use it directly.
Right,
It'll be there for use.
Right.
Okay.
I just think there's a unique, there's opportunity there, so I was just curious.
Oh, and believe it or not, on the way up here tonight, I got a call, it was ringing, somebody I'd never spoken to, and asking about how they can use that building. So,
The rooms, of course,
yep.
of course. Okay.
I thought years ago, when I say years ago, as long as I've been on the board, I don't know if I've been on the board 4 or 5 years, but there was limits to the use of that because of its
Location.
proximity to the base, right? Okay. So that hasn't changed.
No, there's a AQ's density, but
Isn't like the number of persons or bodies in the
it's
place?
it's per acre. It is. On that property, and it would certainly not exceed that. But really what you're thinking about a school that was used to be there, no longer there, or somebody, strong office space or things like that. But there's some, on again, off again, evening programming uses like that.
Right. Right.
Because we're in there now. Strong day of youth basketball there.
Yeah, they need a clock, but we can talk about that offline.
Not a whole lot of differences going on with St. Clements Island. I really hope that by the next meeting, I'll have an update from Karen. I can tell you that all of the graphic design work and for the murals will be, for the new facility, will be going out to bid here shortly. But I'll have some updates for you on timelines and things.
We had a call, I haven't updated you. We had a call yesterday.
Well, there you go.
With the design team, going well. Now we're into cost, and all of a sudden things stall because what you wanted for 2.5 million is now costing 3.1, just making that up. But so you have to now work through them costs of what's give and take. The other thing I wanted to tell you is next door to the museum, there was the home. Now that DNR came in and bought that. That was very good because now our neighbor is secure, DNR and property. Now DNR is saying that home they would like to, part of the lease, turn that over to the county so we take care of it. That would be the trade-off. Use the property, use this home, and we are going to use it while this is being constructed. So now we've had building service will go in, then I'll go to the commissioner and say, is this something that you want to take on? Right. Because, anytime you take on a facility, there's cost involved. So I asked them that question. And then maybe who knows, in the end, it might be a building that in future years is gone and used for open space there for the Jazz Festival and increasing the size there.
The stage there.
That's all I have. Oh, Gymnastics Center, I need to speak to that. All right, Gymnastics Center, where we are. And remember, the lease expires May 31. Atlantic Realty has closed. They now bought that from Millicent Plaza, a lot of in that area, from a lot of that space in there, from the theater all throughout. Another company bought the hotel, the Belvedere, and they're tearing that down if you get through there. All right, so Atlantic Realty and I will be on the phone tomorrow. That's about, they've given us some as-builts because we said if we're going to stay, we need more square footage. We need a higher roof over the bar and vault area, and we need some reconfiguration. So they've found some more square footage, and then so we're going to start penciling some things in, and then the next thing will become cost, and we'll see what we can afford, and then I'll make recommendations. That's where we are to stay at the.
Is there even a second building that you've considered? Or obviously staying is the best, but I just didn't know if we've even.
Well, I've been looking at buildings. I've looking, you're the roadside, just like you heard Floyd said about where's buildings, but and then you find out what the difference in square footage. Right. The cost is passed on to the user, but some say, hey, let's go Central County anyway. We'll pay the cost. Oh, really? Okay. Then you get the other one that's there is new. There's property and people that willing to build to lease, but so you're talking right now. I'm just give it to you right now. I'm gonna give you a round figure. The square foot cost 12,000 square feet, over 12.5 at the Gymnastics Center, $7 a square foot. To get a used building refurbished in that, something is going to be about $13.50. Brand new about $16.50.
I just know it's a growing sport. It's getting more competitive. We have more competitive.
Yeah, it's hanging in there, especially for an indoor sport. During this COVID period, it's hanging in there pretty good. Thank goodness for the coaching staff they have that have the fortitude to hang in there for those families and young children.
I hope it works out.
That's true.
All right, Christine, all done in order? All right, well, thank you very much. Now, budget discussions?
And I can go through that. You have the two CIP sheets.
Yep.
And let's go over the one here, the Rainbow,
Yep.
Rainbow Bright. Y'all remember that? So that is the one that interests most because the big projects are the big projects. We settle in, we know what those are. Those take time. The permitting process. These aren't as time consuming. They're all about just getting price quotes and bids. The 1.5 million that we just received recently that we're going to do baseball, softball field improvements with, improve the passive park, the amenities there, the transition plan, and improvements at Cardinal Gibbons are part of that. These are the ones each year, and you see there's $1.6 million. But this is already into the commissioners. They've gotten their first look at this. We've had a budget work session with it. So look at some of the kinds of things we talk about. Lights at Dorsey Park, that'd be for a field lights there. and this is FY '23 that we're going into, 5th District Park, putting parking lot lights there, because when you, up at top and when lights are on and you coming down in that lower parking lot below the restroom, it's dark. Some court improvements at 7th District, you heard about those, playgrounds at Baggett and Nicolette, transition plan, asphalt overlay, and you can see all of them. Great Mills Pool Storage Building and on and on. And we have to do some improvements at Wycomico. We have a dredging issue there in Pond on hole number 15. That silt and got us there. So you see what those are. So now what you can be thinking, here we have park facility improvements. You see those numbers there in FY, so FY '23 is on us. Here we are, it's here. So now this board, and I don't know what terms are here, now you're thinking and you're working with your groups, okay, how are we going to spend this money in FY '24? Now if you look there, you say, Arthur, you already have money there, but those are placeholders. And those can be moved about. Now you'll look at in '24, one of the new projects there toward the low part is $650,000 for skate parking in the northern county. And then you'll have, in Chaptico Park, then we'll have 3 Bermuda fields, 2 turf fields, a BMX track that's lit, and a skate park.
So is this new, or is this is planned?
That's FY '24. It's in there for FY '24, but remember, each year that moves. That moves, but they're placeholders there. That's what's in there. And you see, we put kind of allocations in there, even them up on the years going out. But that all changes. And sometimes it changes on need. Sometimes all of a sudden, we talked about tonight, you have a court that's tearing up that you didn't, that was going to be in,
I was wondering why they're
in '28.
Allocated for.
You have to move it back. So some of that, so these 23 is already in, 24 through 28 will still require discussion with myself, the board, the commissioners, and to come out with some final figures for that. So I wanted you to see that and how that works. And generally, that's going to be about the allocation. And 1.6 could come back and say, hey, we have another project, hey, we're short, so, we're going to need $250,000 from your allocation, can you move that out? That could happen too, but right now.
I'm very curious as to why there isn't any money set aside for court improvements for '24, and a large chunk for Chaptico Skate Park, and then there's no money set aside for Chaptico State Park moving forward.
Well, okay, so, well, again, you had to get money somewhere to get 650 to stay in that number. Then after that, once that is, that's a one-time cost to build and construct a skate park. Then that'll be under court or what another place you could find to put that. Recreation facility upgrades, as a maintenance plan for that. But that's a one-time cost is why, and you have to find it somewhere within the 1.6.
And then it goes to that 10-year, 20-year scale.
Yeah, and a plan.
Okay.
And sometimes our asphalt overlays, we have that because it has to happen, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes the routing, it works well, and we can move past that and wait till the next year. That happened last year. So some of it's wait and see, but that's a plan. That's a good 5-year plan in the capital projects for recreation facilities. And then lastly, budget-wise, can I go to operational?
Sure.
All right. So that's CIP. I have a sheet here that you don't have. It's secretive.
Oh, Lord.
I think it's.
We're going to get paid.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not a good look. Is it this one?
Now, do you work for the county school or all transportation?
Public
This
school
one.
transportation.
Thank you. It's no longer a secret.
Thank you.
Bless Lord.
Chinese to me.
I'm wondering if
Oh. I think this is nice.
That decision made it so I don't have to get up at 3 a.m. I can probably get up at 5 a.m. to check the
This is what
roads.
we asked for last week, right?
make the call.
Okay.
Last month.
Yeah.
Part of it, I'm sure.
What in the budget goes into the county for the first, they're not even been submitted to finance yet, the operational budgets. The first budget work session, is it late February, March? So what this list is just what we call essential cost changes, where we're having to ask for more money that's different from the year past, whether it's something new or something essential cost change. And then let me talk about fields and sports too, and the operation and what this means to parks maintenance, because that's where most of this is right here, is parks maintenance. You'll see in that lower half those numbers 1 through 9. So Wednesday the 12th, staff, Roy Copsey, Tyrone Harris, and I will be going to meeting Tim Drummond of Charles County. We're meeting him at one of the parks where they have a meeting room, Laurel Springs, and we're going to talk about the Charles County budget and what it means to be centralized and decentralized parks maintenance. One of the questions that's being asked. So what is that costing? What are some of the things that are going on? How that? So I'll be there on Wednesday getting all that information. Tim's going to share with him what all that means and about getting fields game ready and all that. So naturally, none of that's in here, and that's why I even I've said it in the last board meeting that would most likely be a 24 item. I don't see it getting ready, because that'll be a major day for the county and the youth sports and the department if that comes to pass. It really will. So those are just some of the things where you would think that because we put new bathrooms in. I asked Roy this question: why are we paying more money for portables? You probably know the answer. One of the biggest answers, we're there longer now because of turf fields and some sports. Sports are going sports used to shut down. You thought pigskin was long because they stopped November 15th and you didn't crank up again until March or April. That's not the case anymore. That's one. And then number two is at our waterfront parks, we just had to go to better service on the weekends. Sunday people were left with Saturdays. You got it? So we now have, all right, got it. All right, we put a line item in here for overtime. There's a new day for our department. I don't think now with what we have out on the weekends that we can just have hourly staff there, that we're going to have staff in our parks with equipment and trucks, because we're operating at a high volume now. So that's where we're asking the commissioners to add additional grass cuts, field light repairs, just some small things. And then we also, our portable stage is, it's time to replace that. That's one of the issues with the portable stage is what? Up and down. But this life of this one is pretty long. I wish I knew it to tell you. So those are some of the things that we're putting in there. Other than that, it's business as usual in the parks, museums, not too many significant ECCs, essential cost changes. Mainly what happens in your budget each year, our small budget of, not small, but for a department this size, $4 million. Most of it's tied up in salaries with 40 full-time people. That's what we have, 40 full-time people. And then the equipment that goes in parks. That's where it is. So that's the information, and if you have any questions, just let me know.
All right. Well, anybody have questions? All right. Thank you, Arthur.
Well, actually, I'd like to.
Hold on. Go.
It's not a question.
No problem.
I'm just curious because this is a summary of changes, right? And because our friends in the baseball and softball communities expressed some concerns, was this budget request triggered because of those concerns, or were these changes already being considered at the department?
Miss Norton,
Curious.
you know we're proactive around here.
Okay. So what,
No, it's the blender. I call it the blender. It's everything.
Of course,
everything
great.
that staff hears till we all hear, that we sense, we know we kind of know the wind of funding mechanisms with the commissioners, and that's why it's going to take time. But yeah, certainly I've been doing, since I returned, I've been having league leader meetings with the leagues twice a year for the last, I know it's been 3, it could have been 4. So I'll be back 5 in April. So it's been 3 to 4. And so hearing from the leagues, hearing from them in different fashions, methods and modes, and formulate a budget with that. And then one of the biggest ones, I'm headed to, with baseball and softball included, I'm headed to Charles County on Wednesday. Got a time with.
I said, we just want to be, I can't speak for all the other board members, but I just want to be sure that We heard their concerns, and it seems that we are doing what we can to field these concerns. So I think it's appropriate that we now reach back to that community because they requested this information. So I don't know if we're doing that through this ad hoc committee, Dawn. I don't know if we're doing that. Is that our plan to communicate back to them to just,
You're a little muffled.
is it our plan to communicate back to that community that the board has, that director has responded because they expressed concerns? And then what would be our next step forward with that? That's my question. Sir?
And while you're thinking, let me butt in. So that's, remember, on February, my response back to is I don't know which one's first, but February 7th, let's say, they'll be getting an email tomorrow or Monday, is that the league leader meetings when I bring the baseball, softball people back and here again and report back. That would be my level of doing that.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
we good?
Yes.
All right, anybody have anything? All right, call to, motion to adjourn?
My motion?
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,